Dear viewer, this is not the full film of Venus Wars. This is a review of the English dub of the film. Currently, at the time of release, Venus Wars is only available to view on a High Dive, Sentai streaming service. Previously, a limited edition Blu-ray was available, but has since sold out. Whatever the case may be, please support the official release of the film. Sincerely, the Dub Talk Podcast. Well, hello there. Come on in. Sit. Let me pour you a stiff drink. You're not from around this planet, are you? I can tell just by looking at you. Huh? What's that? You came to Venus to search for some information? I might have what you're looking for, but be warned. The content I'm about to present you might be a bit heavy-handed on the subject matter for someone your age, so discretion is advised. There will be spoils of war going around these parts, so be very careful if it's something you're not used to seeing yet. The people involved in this war are very opinionated and do not reflect those of the crew they run with. That being said, this information doesn't come cheap. I require payment. Ooh, Camel cigarettes. Very nice. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have a battle bike betting pool to run. Enjoy your drink.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Dub Talk, a show where a bunch of freedom-fighting, space-dwelling teenagers get together and talk about our favorite anime dubs. And welcome to Summer at the Movies, where tonight we will be discussing the 1989 film Venus Wars, now dubbed by Sentai. I am your host, Lack the Watcher, aka Liam, and with me tonight is my friend Jamal.
War, man. What is it good for? Absolutely nothing, you know?
Yep. Except for making good anime. But
remember, kids, war is bad.
Just remember that. All right. So yeah, tonight, as I said, we will be talking about Venus Wars, which is admittedly a little bit of a obscure title, at least over here in the States, but was recently brought back into the mainstream audience because of Sentai's re-release that just happened this year as a recording. So yeah, do we have any backstory or anything you want to go through?
Yeah, pretty much, because the director of this film, this was his last, I think his only piece of work before he became a full-time manga artist. He put a lot of heart and soul into this film, and it's a very spectacular film, because if I remember correctly, he's the director, and the music is done by Joe Hisaishi, and I think he did a lot of work for... I have to look up. I think he did a lot of work for Trigger Anime, but I know the director Yoshikazu Yasuhiko. He handled Crusher Joe, Arion, which I know you like very much,
and I love Crusher Joe too, actually. So
yeah, Giant Gorg along those lines. And then he just after the success of Gundam, his film was released, and then for the next 25 years or so, it was just faded into obscurity up until now. It did catch on. Believe it or not, viewers, this is actually not the first dub for this movie's ever had. There was a previous dub done by Manga Entertainment, I think it was.
Yeah, it was one of the British ones. It was Manga Entertainment.
Yeah. Unfortunately, it's a product of its time because, as you know, a lot of 90s anime back in the day, some things were changed, some scenes were cut, some names were renamed, the typical 90s anime dub, and didn't really receive well. And I know before we started we were about to review this, Heidi was asking me if I was going to check out the first dub too. I was like, wait, there was a previous dub? But it's like some other 90s dubs, it kind of faded to obscurity as well. So we don't have that for you tonight.
The manga
we do
entertainment
have it.
the manga entertainment dub does have some people who were fairly consistent in terms of like anime dubbing at the time. You've got like William Dreyfuss, Sean Barrett, guys like that who worked on like Lupin when it was being dubbed by manga. So before it moved over to I want to say Bang Zoom, but that's not accurate. I mean the dub. I can't remember the name at the moment, but it was the one when Tony Oliver and Richard Epcar and Michelle Ruff and all them started working. So, but yeah, that was the cast that was used in the original one. So,
I'm sure we'll figure it out over time. But yeah, man, like this was a surprisingly very good film. I mean, even for its time, it was very spectacular because it didn't really use any CG or anything. Like, just a lot of its shots it's basically your film grain 80s style kind of animation with what would be used as CG today. It used like some real life scenes and they just overlaid the animation onto it as well. With the battle bikes going out into war.
Yeah.
I thought it was pretty cool.
Yeah, no, I think this film's a little better than its reputation leads it to be. I think it's very much a product of its time, but at the same time, it's like, this is sort of the thing that Japan was worried about during the 80s, so it makes sense that the film would present itself like this.
Which is funny, because when the film was released, a lot of big name events happened after that. The Cold War.
Right.
Yeah, along those lines. And when this got announced for a dub by Sentai, it was announced like right after the insurrection at Capitol.
Right.
Remember, kids, your favorite anime is political.
And the movie came out in the same year as the fall of the Berlin Wall and stuff like that.
Yeah. So. This movie came out before I was even born. Before either of us were born, really. But.
Oh yeah. Yep. But yeah, I don't know if the March on Capitol Hill and Venus Wars have that much in common, though.
It's the timing.
Yeah, yeah. Big political event, I get you. But yeah, so yeah, it's definitely a product of 80s anime, and I think that's why it appeals to me, because I really love that era, and I love the kind of geopolitical like era that Japan was going through during that time. I think it made for a lot of great art. Bubblegum Crisis is another series I absolutely love, and that was, definitely a product of its time as well. And this shares a lot of this shares some superficial similarities to Bubblegum Crisis. So
yeah, I need to check that out one of these days.
Yep. And not to mention, I have a not a personal, but I have a somewhat intimate connection to Yoshikazu Yasuhiko because of the fact that I'm a big Dirty Pair fan as well, and he did the original character designs for Dirty Pair. He worked on the novel The Great Adventures of Dirty Pair with Haruka Takachiho. Yeah. So. And I think Haruka Takachiho worked on Christopher Joe as well. Yeah, he wrote the Christopher Joe novels. So. But, yeah. So, do we got anything else before we get into the lists?
No, I think anything else we may have left, we'll just go throughout the discussion of the film.
Okay. So I guess we'll just go ahead and get started. All right, so to start out, we are going to go through the ADR director and script writer. For ADR director, we have Mike Hayamoto. And for scriptwriter, we have George Manley. So,
interesting thing about these two, because I know for Mike, this is actually his first directing gig. He's also directed other stuff as the redub of Baki and Hero Mask, which were previously on Netflix. there's an interesting thread about that if you want a discussion about
so
that.
He works with Bang Zoom mostly.
No, what happened was apparently Sentai licensed some stuff for Home Video from Netflix, but because I don't know, I think the dubs were too expensive or something along those lines. They weren't able to get the dub entirely, so they ended up doing some things from scratch. But yeah, Mike's also assistant. He's actually the main director for Hero Mask and the assistant for Baki. And George Manley, he's also written for stuff such as Log Horizon, Food Wars, and I believe he's doing I thought he did a comic again though. And he also wrote for Dramatical Murder, so
All right. I mean, it's pretty interesting to see that this is his first real directing job. I'm kind of surprised Sentai would give this to a new director. But maybe they didn't think it was going to be that profitable anyway. So
I think the thing with Sentai is, they love to take chances on these kinds of things.
Yeah, which is often their biggest strength as a dubbing company as opposed to other so they tend to be a little more risk-taking.
Sometimes it's a strength, sometimes it's also a weakness too, because depending on the properties they pick up, because I know there's still people upset about Killing Bites, Twittering Birds Never Fly, that kind of thing. It's like,
well, I think it's actually impressive that this dub actually came together pretty well, considering it's new staff kind of running the show on this one. I'm trying to think of what I really want to say. There is a certain timelessness to this that I think really helps it. I like the fact that, in spite of the fact that it was clearly made in 1989, it really does. They were able to translate. They were able to translate most of the dialogue pretty well to fit a modern audience without making it feel too like trying too hard. If that makes any sense.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, all around, it's just a solid dub. It's about as good as you could ask a dub for Venus Wars to be, because because of the fact that we have had another dub, and I haven't listened to the other dub personally, but I do appreciate the fact that Sentai was willing to go to the lengths to actually redub it instead of just buying out the original dub and using that. I feel like if Discotech had gotten this, they would have done that. So,
I think what it is that it kind of reminds me of BDX in a way, because I remember with BDX when Marissa Lenti helmed the rest of the show, she wanted to make her actors give off that vibe as much as possible. With BDX, it was a 90s kind of vibe, so thinking like you can't be 90s cartoons, that kind of thing. Which luckily Lenti didn't have to, because the actors kind of understood the property. With Venus Wars, I would say it's more or less the same thing, but I think it's more Mike's understanding of the film in its entirety, because I know, because he seems to have a natural approach with the way it's kind of hard to kind of pick what it is about Mike's dub that just makes it feel timeless, because this is his first property, so I guess he wanted to research. He probably did his research and wanted to make this the best that he possibly can. Just get the 80s sound out of these actors. So,
right.
Especially considering who voices Donna. Oh man, yeah, that was kind of impressive. And George did a very good job on the scripts. I don't think there was really anything out of place or anything that, ironically, would date the material, even though it is a property from 1989. You gotta find some way to stay faithful to that without overstepping your boundaries. And a little side note for anybody that's looking this up, George Manley was not credited on A&N for some reason. So we both found out this by watching the film.
Right.
Just to give some clarification for this. So,
Right.
But they both did a very good job with this, and I look forward to more of this conversation. I know I'm good at preaching final thoughts, but this is really a film y'all should check out. So,
Especially if you like stuff from this era. All right, so should we start with the cast now?
yeah.
Okay. So we're gonna start off the list of the cast with talking about the Killer Commandos.
Save for two of them, for reasons.
Yeah, I guess, yeah.
Yeah.
So we're going to talk about Rob, Jack, Kathy, Dao, and Kenny.
Rob's a jokester, wimp, and a coward, but apparently you scare him hard enough, he'll bite back immensely.
Exactly.
Even Scary was scared of him. Jack is a member of the Killer Commandos. Kind of a playboy, because at one point he's dating Kathy, and Kathy just dumps her after the home invasion by the police.
Right.
To which Kathy is the cheerleader for the Killer Commandos. Was dating Will, but when he had his eyes on Sue, she just kind of moves on, I guess. I forget what the term is for that, but
Rebound.
Yeah, rebound. I know Tao and Kenny are the two knuckleheads that don't talk much in the background. Like, they kind of remind me, they look like Beavis and Butthead in kind of a way if you think about it.
Yeah, there's definitely that kind of element to it.
And did I miss anybody else?
I don't think so. I think you talked about everybody. So
Then we should be good then. So you want to tell me who plays these people?
Yep. All right. So for Rob, we've got Mark Allen Jr. For Jack, we've got Scott Gibbs. Kathy is Christina Kelly. Dao is Mike Haimoto, the director. And Kenny is Blake Jackson.
Okay, so Blake Jackson, you've also heard is a Chiguma Marume and Actors Songs Connection. He's the new voice of Baki in the redub of Baki. And he's Taho Maru in Dororo. So that's going to be interesting.
Right.
Christina Kelly, you've also heard as Mine Nakame Got Killed. And Alice Nakiri in the Food Wars franchise. Let's see. Mark Allen Jr., you've heard as Yoda Naokami in The Day I Became a God. Ukyo Sayonji in Dr. Stone Wars. And Renkoha, the Kingdom of Magic. Mike Haimoto is, of course, the director. You've heard of his Bon Ritada in Golden Time. Tori in Log Horizon. And Kaoru Ijuin in Tada Never Falls in Love. And Scott Gibbs, you've heard as Hector Doyle in Baki. David in Chaika the Coffin Princess as Satoshi Ichiki in Food Wars. Alright, so seems pretty decent lineup. I have a feeling this section is going to go by pretty quick.
Yeah, the characters aren't really in the movie that much. They are kind of in the background just to further the plot for characters like Will and Will and Hiro. So
what's funny is the only two that really stand out to me are Mark Allen Jr. and Christina Kelly. Christina Kelly, because I've said in the past, like, she has like a kind of a hammy tone in her voice. Like, it's hard not to pick her out in the dub every time I hear her, because she has this natural charisma to her no matter what she does. Mark Allen Jr. is kind of interesting because, and I know Roots pointed this out to me before, the man started off as a California actor before he moved to Texas.
Which is not typically how it's done. So
No. But the weird part about it was, he said that he was the first person to do that, and he actually is not. Because I know that's Amelie, because she went from LA to Dallas to Houston. Well, she's still in Dallas, but she did some Houston stuff from time to time. But hearing Mark Allen Jr. was very interesting. And only in the last year or so have I've been able to understand his voice. I still can't pick him out yet in the crowd, but he gets the job done. Everybody gets the job done in this section. I really have no complaints other than Jack, you're a fucking idiot.
Well, that's neither here nor there.
I'm just wondering myself, do you think he was actually watching somebody else's house, or that he actually broke into somebody's house?
He probably broke into somebody's house. That was always the implication I got from it.
Yeah.
But, I mean, it was the ghetto, so who really cared? You know?
And the fact that it's essentially a strip mall, which, depending on how high-end your mall is, there may be some apartment complexes nearby, but where it overlooks the mall, yeah, something's off.
Yeah, I mean, Carol and Tuesday had a much brighter vision of living on Mars. So, you know.
Oh, that's a conversation for another day.
Yeah. But, yeah, no, I think everybody filled their roles pretty well here. I do think the standouts were probably Scott Gibbs as Jack and Christine Kelly as Kathy. But everybody was good. Everybody fit their roles well. They sounded right. I can't really complain to any degree either. I think this is a good, strong, like secondary cast. So.
Yeah.
All right, do we want to move on?
Yeah.
Okay. So, next up on the list, we've got some more significant characters for the Freedom Fighters. We have Gary and Miranda Cocker.
Nice. Sorry, you go ahead.
Yep. Gary is voiced by John Gramelian, who's not a stranger to redubbing old anime movies, as he was the voice of D for the Vampire Hunter D movie. And Miranda Cocker is actually voiced by Christine Alton, which is funny, and this is something Mike Himoto pointed out as well, is the fact that because the movie has Bubblegum Crisis vibes, it is pretty obvious that she should be in it, as she was the voice of Pris in Bubblegum Crisis 2040. So,
wow.
Yep.
Okay, so in case those are wondering about the characters, Gary's team owner of the Killer Commandos, team owner of the Killer Commandos, a mechanic. Manages a junkyard as well. He's kind of brash but sympathetic towards the youngsters. But there's also a side of him that sells military-grade weapons. Used to be the army on Earth, so he lost his friends and a leg battling a tank. Miranda Cocker is team leader of the Killer Commandos. She's the queen who gives the orders, stubborn and unyielding. Has a vindictive urge to get revenge on the Ishtar's armies, the ones that botched the race that occupied the stadium they called home. That's pretty much it.
Yeah.
She becomes a soldier later on, but yeah, we'll talk about that when we get to the hero, essentially. So,
Right. So, yeah. I think they both sound great in this.
Oh, yeah.
I like both these actors a lot, so anytime I get to hear them is pretty much a treat. So, you know, I've been recently watching One Piece, so hearing hearing John Gramelian as like Hawkeye is pretty fun, you know.
Yeah.
Hawkeye Mihawk. So.
It's funny because the only thing I've known Christine Alton before is the S-Death in that comic got killed, which is the Ice Queen waifu, if you've ever seen the show.
Oh, yeah.
And she's Izumi Curtis in the Full Metal Alchemist franchise.
That's right.
Both the original and Brotherhood, but so hearing this it's kind of unique because this character is kind of hot and hot-headed at the same time, but she has her reasons for doing things, and she won't hesitate to call you out on your bullshit when necessary. And John Gramelian, John Gramelian seems to be a staple of Sentai.
He's been kind of there since the beginning for ADV, so yeah.
Yeah, although lately I have seen him do a few things for Funimation, because I know he's
He's done plenty of Funimation stuff, but
I know he's Gentle Criminal in My Hero Academia.
Right.
Right, so... But yeah, hearing him as this grizzled old man who's been in combat, so he knows the experience firsthand, is that... I don't know, it would feel more like a John Swayze character, but John Gramillion pulls it off very well, though. I have to give him props on that.
Yeah, he's got some good bass to his voice, so he can play older grizzled guys like that pretty well. I feel like. I don't know how much I really have to say, honestly, because I think it's just two very strong performances for these fun kind of characters. Spoilers for the movie, but Gary dies, so we don't get to see him super much, aside from like near the beginning of the movie.
Wait. Did he? Because I watched the movie twice. And I don't recall.
Doesn't he?
Oh, was that when the crane fell over and landed on Hero? Or?
Yeah.
And
then Hero sees somebody who he thinks is Gary, but then it turns out it's not him. So.
No, I think it's actually one of our next characters. Now you think about it.
Is it? Maybe.
Anyway, yeah, I think that's the only thing that's kind of happened about these two performances is that they get a little more to do than the Killer Commandos, but they don't get as much to do later on after that midpoint, except for Miranda. And even then, like once Hero goes off on his own, that's pretty much it.
Right. Yeah, I don't really know what else to say. It would have been funny if one of the ADV Dirty Pair cast members had played Miranda. No, that would have been funny because that would have more of a connection to Venus Wars. But no, Christine Autumn was a great choice. So yeah, I guess we'll move on to the next one. So, are you guys ready for two sides of the same coin? We've got Captain Kurtz, who is the enigmatic leader of the Freedom Fighters, or at least
he's the young commander of the Authority Army's combat bike unit. Saves Hero while fighting against the octopus tank at the stadium. Rarely shows his emotions, but tries to figure out how to keep his soldiers surviving.
Right.
Alpha makes Hero an offer he couldn't refuse. To which essentially, Hero lost that duel. So.
He challenges him to a motorcycle race because this is still an '80s movie.
Yeah, of course.
And on the other side of the coin, we've got General Donner, who is essentially the fascist leader. Yada yada yada. Same old.
Commander-in-Chief of the Ishtar Occupation Forces. Utilizes to octopus tanks. I feel like I'm watching that fake Grand Order anime now.
Yeah. No, that's definitely not what Ishtar looks like in fake Grand Order. I can tell you that much. But
yeah, I know. But he's cold, calculating, and at one point, even disarms a reporter firing a gun at her. To which I don't think she realized the safety was even on in the first place. But
right. Well, no, obviously not. He would have been dead. So.
Yeah, pretty much.
So, for the cast, Captain Kurtz is voiced by Sean Patrick Judge, who I have to admit, I don't know this name.
It's funny because it's a new name. This is his first role ever, according to the Twitter thread. Yeah, you can also hear him as out of the Hero Mask, Yahiko Dororo, and Dan Carey in Babylon. And what's funny about this is that he was recommended to Mike Himoto from another voice actor who we'll talk about in a few seconds.
Oh, okay.
Right.
Oh,
yeah, that being
General Donner is voiced by a name I know very well, David Wald. So,
who is of course no stranger to dub talk. You heard Miss Bulat the Kabe got killed. Hades in Attack on Titan.
He's basically in every Sentai dub somewhere.
Basically, if you hear David Wald in any dub ever that's not California, you'll hear David Wald.
Yeah.
Trust me, even Gigi can pick him out of a lineup. But yeah, the interesting thing about this is that Shaw was recommended by David to Mike. So the fact that he accepted the recommendation means that Sean definitely had something to prove. And given what he portrayed here, his chops, he had the chops.
He fits anime dubbing well. He fits right in. So
Yeah.
Was he like a stage actor or something? Is that where he comes from?
I don't know. That's the thing. Let me see.
It looks like he was a stage actor. Yeah, I'm on his website right now.
Yeah, most of Houston, like.
Is that how you're supposed to pronounce his name? Is it like Shen?
Well, it's an accent. Yeah, it's an accent. Well, that's the thing. He doesn't have a pronunciation, but maybe he has some type of demo or something.
Yeah.
I do apologize if you somehow listened to this, Sean, or even David Wald. We're just working with what we have.
We're only
right
fans,
now.
Okay?
Yeah, we're pivoting away from porn. You know they're actually doing that?
Who? What? What are we talking about?
Yeah. Well, you made an OnlyFans joke.
I know I did, but I don't know who you're talking about now. Like where you
No,
going?
OnlyFans, they're actually pivoting away from porn.
Oh, okay. Well, Well, I guess Patreon will have to be the main thing then.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Yeah, it looks like he's mostly done stage and maybe some commercials. It looks like. But even so, yeah, no, he fits anime dubbing well. I'm glad David Wald was able to find him. So
Yeah, what according to the thread here, one of Mike's favorite moments for him is anytime he monologues.
Yeah.
You could definitely hang on every word this guy says. And
It's great when somebody completely new can come in and just knock it out of the park. So I hope to be something like that myself one day.
yeah. But yeah.
Both of these are really good. David Wald is always super strong, especially in roles like this. Even though it's not super like what he always does, it's still very much in his wheelhouse, and he always knocks out of the park characters like this, authoritarian characters. He was also in the Vampire Hunter D redub. Now that I think about it,
yeah, he
was the main bad guy. So we've got D and Count Marcus, I think his name is. I want to hang on. I might be wrong. I might be thinking of my D&D campaign.
Vampire Hunter D, Count Magnus Lee.
Magnus, okay, Count Magnus Lee, yes. Which was dubbed by Streamline and not manga. Which is even more surprising that they redubbed it. But
but yeah, David Wald, he hardly turns in a bad performance. He gives his all. Like, I know one of the things Mike says is his favorite moments is every single word he says, and that is very true.
Yeah, he really, like, he makes General Donner feel powerful. So,
especially after all the roles he's had this year, there's nothing that David Wald can't do except baby salted flip flappers. But that's just me. So,
yeah, I don't know what that means.
Trust me, if you ever see that show, well, I doubt you'll ever see, but if you ever see that show one day, it is very crazy.
Yeah.
Let me tell you.
Yeah, there's really nothing that can be said about these two performances except that Sean Patrick Judge, for a newcomer, he really knocks it out of the park, and David Wald is just doing his thing like he always does. So
David Wald is just being David Wald.
Exactly.
That's all he can be.
He's the best David Wald there is. So, yeah, I think we can move on. You good?
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay, all right. So we're getting into the couples at this point. Starting off with... Well, you know what I mean.
No, I was just reminiscing over one of these couples. So,
yeah. So we've got Will and probably the poster girl for this movie, but not the main character, Susan Sue Summers. Will is kind of the cool guy, hotshot, freedom fighter he's kind of more out there than our main character Hiro.
The most capable member of the Killer Commandos.
Right.
He's just bright and jovial and tags along with Hero when he gets picked up into the Hound unit.
He's the Gary Oak to Hero's Ash Ketchum. And as I said, Susan Sue Summers, or Sue, is pretty much the poster girl of the movie. She is a reporter from Earth who comes to Mars to report on the goings-on of the war, and she basically falls for Will, sort of. I don't want to go into too many details of it. She's also kind of a bitch, but she learns not to be. So.
Yeah. So,
All right. So, Will is played by, I assume, a fan favorite of Dub Talk, David Matranga. And Susan Sue Summers is played by Maggie Flecknoe. I believe that's how you pronounce her name.
Yeah, Flecknoe.
Okay.
Yeah.
Who is another name I'm not super familiar with.
Let me break it down for you. David Matranga, you've heard this Bertolt in Attack on Titan, Tomoya Okazuki in Clannad, and for the ladies out there, Victor in Diabolic Lovers.
Right.
Maggie Flecknoe, you've also heard as Shinka Nibutani in Love Truly Beyond Other Delusions, Yui in Diabolic Lovers, and...
Was that like the main girl?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Because I'm like, there's only like one girl in Diabolic Lovers, right? So...
And Kana Kojima and Why the Hell Are You Here, Teacher?
Oh, okay. It's fine.
That's the thing about Sentai sometimes. It's like, the ratio of good to bad roles.
It's a mixed bag for Sentai sometimes, Sometimes they get Why the Hell Are You Here, Teacher? And sometimes they get Dororo, which is one of my favorite anime of the last, 10 years. So, there you go.
Yeah.
So, yeah. David Matranga. David Matranga is David Matranga. He's always good, especially in roles like this.
I'm a dumbass. I forgot he's Todoroki in My Hero Academia.
You didn't mention that he was Todoroki.
Hey, man, hosting is hard,
Yeah, no,
sometimes some things will slip through the cracks.
That's why we're sharing this load, basically.
Yeah, David is very, very good as this character. I know, there's sometimes some people have problems with him, playing teenagers and stuff. Depending on the series, he can either pull it off very well, or, your taste may vary.
That's always, I think, something unfortunate for David Matranga is the fact that sometimes he sounds too young for a role, and sometimes he sounds too old for it,
But I think this role was just right for him.
No, it's perfect for him. He gets to show a lot of personality, which is something... Listen, I love Todoroki, but Todoroki is not the most personality, driven character. So David Matranga tends to have to play him kind of flat a lot. He does a great job with Todoroki. I'm not hating on him. But this is something that he really he gets to shine in. This is a role that he's very much prepared for, very much in his element for. And Maggie Flecknoe, as much as I don't know, her stuff, she is great as Sue, in my opinion.
What's fun? Sorry, go ahead.
She is just I don't want to say annoying, but she's just in your face enough without it becoming unbearable.
Yeah. So, two things about that. One, I thought they were going to cop out and cast Maggie as Maggie. And,
yeah, that is funny. Yeah.
I mean, at times I like when they play like that, because I know they cast, Robinson and Xenon and Black Clover recently.
Johnny Young Bosch is another example of getting cast because his name is Johnny.
Space Dandy, boy.
And if I had to take a guess, Steel Ball Run.
Oh yeah, he is Jonathan Joestar, isn't he?
Yep. So I always had this prevailing theory that they specifically cast him as Jonathan Joestar so that he could play Johnny in the Steel Ball Run dub. So.
But the funny thing about Maggie Flecknoe, this is why she's very good at this role. You want to know what her daytime job is?
Is she a reporter?
She is.
Oh, that's really cool, actually.
Yes, as a matter of fact, she hosts a show called Houston Happens on the CW39 from 9:30 to 10. Yeah, she has some video clips of her do local pieces, that kind of thing. Like,
Well, I guess it's like one of those
yeah.
things where you're making a movie and you cast a doctor to play a doctor, right?
Exactly, because that's the one thing about a lot of these voice actors. Like, if they have it, they will bring the life experience to the role they're in. Like, because I know,
Yeah, and that's something that's great about dub actors specifically is they have other like outside sources because being a dub actor makes you no money, so you got to do other stuff. So
also on top of that with the life experience, because I know, for example, Chris Waycap is a Kodai in Star Blazers, and as a kid he grew up watching the original Star Blazers dub. So that kind of came full circle for him. I think that's what kind of skyrocketed his roster to where he's a more prominent name on Dub Talk sometimes. So
yeah.
stuff like that is always very interesting to learn more about the person behind the role, because actors are people first.
Right.
A lot of people seem to forget that those are the ones. Well, they're fans, and then they're fans.
No, that's neither here nor there.
Yeah. So
there's loonies in every fandom. Anyway.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, I think this is going to be me repeating myself of everybody being cast well in this dub, but just to kind of derail a bit here, it's actually really impressive how well this is dubbed considering how old it is.
Like I said, Mike must have done his research just to capture that 80s sound, because like you can't it's easy to like take like any property and adapt it to the current sound of today, but when you have to backtrack with something as old as this, well, hell, they're lucky to even get an M&E track for this.
Right.
If they had it, there wouldn't be a second dub at all. We just ended up having the first dub, and the first dub was not so great from what I heard, but I did hear that the main villain of that was I forget the character's name, but apparently he voiced the character in Patlabor, so
I'm really sad that Arian's not getting a dub.
That's the chance with old properties sometimes.
Yeah,
especially the current era. So.
It is what it is, but Arian really needs a dub. Anyway, but yeah, like I said, David Matranga really fit Will well. It's definitely a role that he's extremely well suited for. He seemed like he was having fun too.
Yeah. I think that's the other thing about him voicing teenage characters. Like, if he can't bring the personality or lack of personality when needed, it would fall flat to some people sometimes. So.
Right. And same for Maggie Flecknoe. She seemed like she was having a great time playing Sue. I think that's actually one of the strengths of this dub, is that everybody seemed like they were really happy to do this dub.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody seemed like...
especially when you can cast somebody the element very well,
Exactly, yeah. And Sentai used to dub like 80 stuff, or ADV used to dub like 80 stuff all the time, didn't they? So... I want to say that when they first started, that's kind of what they were doing. But I guess that was more Streamline. Streamline would more grab stuff from, like, the 80s and then dub it. But,
Streamline, Discotheque, somewhere along those lines.
Yeah. But, okay. Yeah, I don't really have much else to say, do you?
No, just that Maggie was a standout in this section. Like, actually, I think she was the overall standout, because... when the story starts, you introduce to her first before everybody else. So.
Right. She's. I will say, she's more interesting than Hero. at least on a narrative, in a narrative sense, she's more interesting than Hero as a protagonist. So.
Which is funny given the synopsis, but I'll get to that when we get to Hero next. Yeah. So.
Which is what we're doing right now. We finally reached the two main characters, one more so than the other, but it still makes sense that we put them together. We've got Margaret Maggie Nakamoto, who is kind of the love interest and, like, voice of, like, I don't know what you call, like, voice of sorrow Is that what?
She's kind of diligent. She's also, believe it or not, she's also one of the cheerleaders for the Killer Commandos. Like,
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. Because she said, and she's also a nursing student, and there's not really much to according to this book. It talks about her career, and she talks about like how her father's kind of opposed to a relationship with Hiro because he seems like a gangster, a delinquent, that kind of thing. Just joined this essentially bike gang, but it's a professional bike gang, so there's a difference on that.
He's the very typical 80s pro tag. So the surly 80s greaser type, rebel without a cause kind of thing. So
he's a member of the battle bike team, which I learned recently that battle bike is kind of this like rollerball style kind of competition. It's kind of like roller derby in a sense, basically. And all these unibikes, but yeah,
it's Battlestar Galactica bullshit. That's what it is.
Oh, that's why they gave the backstory of him being a farmer's boy then, even though that was kind of
yeah.
Feels hopeless towards the bleak future of Venus, developed a defiant attitude towards adults in their lives, leaves to recapture the stadium. After a while, he's saved from Captain Kurtz and placed into the military. Not under his own volition, mind you. So.
All right. So should I get to the cast?
Yeah.
All right. Maggie is voiced by Lucy Christian, and Hiro is voiced by Adam Gibbs. Now, I have a question real quick.
What's up?
Are Adam Gibbs and Scott Gibbs related?
Oh my god, this is the question that would never end. No, they are not.
Okay, all right. Well, I've never heard the answer. So.
Yeah, so Lucy Christian, again, is no stranger to dub talk. She's, of course, Ochako Uraraka, and now the voice of Recovery Girl in My Hero Academia. Nami in One Piece. Nagisa in Clannad. And what's I could do over there?
Did you mention Honey Senpai?
Oh yeah, she's Honey Senpai in the On High School Host Club.
Yep.
Adam Gibbs, you've heard this.
Okay.
Seiya Kanye in the Maggie Brilliant Park. I'll never get over that
funny.
name. Yeah, Fumiya Tomozaki in the bottom tier character Tomozaki. Or for Crimson Killers listening out there, Big Dick character Tomozaki.
I don't know if we're allowed to say this, but skipping ahead, he is going to be the voice of Hyakimaru in Dororo. So.
Yeah, we did bring up Dororo earlier, so yeah, we can do that. And he's Hotaro Oriki in Hyoka.
Okay. They're both very good.
Holy shit, he's also a Todoroki in My Hero Academia.
What? Oh, he's like one of the siblings?
Yeah.
Okay. One of the ones who's not Shoto. Got it. What a name, Shoto. Anyway. Yeah, no, they're both very good. Lucy Christian is always at the top of her game in anything. She plays these roles very well. The problem is Maggie and Hiro, while I don't dislike them, they're not very distinctive characters. They're kind of the characters you expect in this kind of movie. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think, and here's the reason why I saved it for this section. One of the things I learned with this movie is that Yasuhiko focuses more on a world-driven kind of narrative instead of a character-driven one. So
right.
That's why a lot of these characters, like, they don't have as much time completely throughout the movie. Like, you'll see the bits and pieces only when necessary. But even then, it's like, I guess Hiro is what you would call a milquetoast character, even though he is the main character. And Maggie only shows up to a point at which, she just disappears. You only see her again at the end.
Maggie as a character is kind of important because she sort of shows the outsider view looking in at all this. Which I think she's really the only character we see from that, because not even Sue has that perspective, because Sue has some personal stake in this as well, being a reporter, you know?
Yeah.
And I like Hiro. First of all, he's not annoying, at least. I'll give him that. As a character, he's not like annoying, like, oh my god, can this kid just shut up? Like, I like him. It's just that as far as protagonists go, he's just not that interesting. You know? He's mostly just passable.
Yeah.
He doesn't have a ton of personality because his character is something we've seen like almost 1,000 times. That being said, Adam Gibbs does everything he can to give this character some, personality.
I think that's what it is too, because with Adam Gibbs, like I've seen him play characters of this type kind of before. Because I know Hyoka, his character was kind of bland and boring by design, and for some reason I cannot get the words "yippee skippy" out of my head. But yeah, this is basically his bread and butter. It's like it's the only way he gets the chance to like play very dynamic characters or like something with a dynamic plot to it, which Venus Wars does definitely have a dynamic plot, but some of it kind of feels a little more. I want to say it's not Michael Bay-esque, but
it's very James Cameron-esque.
Yeah, James Cameron-esque. So,
James Cameron tends to put a little more thought into that kind of thing than Michael Bay does. So, yeah, it's one of those things. That being said, I think a character like Hiro is needed. Because I think with a character like Hiro, you need this sort of like look into, hey, how is the youth handling this sort of situation?
Yeah, pretty much.
With something like, say, Crusher Joe, for example, Crusher Joe is meant to be more fun, but it also, the characters in it are more based around the actual political outcome of the way the world is. And same with Dirty Pair to some degree, actually. Where they're so ingrained in the actual world itself that they're not outsiders looking in like Adam is, or they're trying to affect change, because they're not. The Dirty Pair aren't trying to affect change, and the Crushers aren't really trying to do that either. They're just doing their jobs.
Yeah, basically, they have I guess in a way they have a strong sense of justice. It's kind of being perversed by the world surrounding them today, which is kind of reflective of what's going on even now. So.
Yeah. The more things change, the more they stay the same. It's kind of that thing. But that being said, yeah, Lucy Christian and Adam Gibbs do really good jobs with these characters. I want to say, wasn't Lucy Christian also in the Vampire Hunter D-dub? I might actually be wrong on this one, but I'm going to check that out.
Yeah. I think I still have a page up. Nope, I accidentally closed all the tabs.
And I love Lucy Christian. She's a great voice actress, and I like Adam Scott too, or Adam Gibbs. Sorry, not Adam Scott. Adam Gibbs.
Adam Scott's a comedian,
yeah,
I think.
Yeah, Adam Scott's on Parks and Rec. But I like Adam Gibbs. I think he's a good voice actor too. Yeah, she was actually. She was Doris Lang. They got a lot of Vampire Hunter D actors in this too, so that's pretty cool, honestly.
Well, yeah, Sentai did do the redub, so
yeah, no, I just even still they could have cast like other people, so it's kind of fun that we got so many of the Vampire Hunter D cast in here.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah, Tiffany Grant was in that dub. That's funny. Anyway, yeah, that's pretty much my thoughts. You got any thoughts, Jamal?
They do pretty good. The only real downside is that these characters suffer from main character syndrome, where like sometimes a lot of the other characters are more important than the main character, even though the main characters are screen most of the time. Because I know Hiro is just basically the bad boy of the group, basically, just trying to find his way in the world. If
He's very James Dean like, I think is what they were going for.
Maybe, yeah, but if I don't know, I guess if this podcast had existed in the 90s before all the tropes and such, before all anime did that kind of trope and everything, maybe we would have liked Hero better, but Hero's just alright for the time being. And Maggie, I could swear, because like what I said in the previous section, like a lot of actors bring the life experience. I could swear I heard somewhere Lucy Christian used to be a nurse, but I cannot find proof.
Well,
but maybe I'm just dreaming it. Maybe.
Yeah.
I
mean, you could always ask her on Twitter. She's on Twitter, so.
Yeah, she is, but. That's pretty much all my thoughts on this.
Yeah, that's pretty much my thoughts too. Perfectly fine characters with good performances. That's my sum up for it.
So you want to go into final thoughts then?
Sure. Even though I've pretty much given my final thoughts as it is, but I'm kind of the connoisseur of the 80s era of anime of the show. I've noticed. I know that there are other people who like this stuff on the show too, but I'm kind of the one who's always the go-to for this kind of stuff, and I honestly can't recommend Venus Wars enough. I like this movie a lot. It's not flawless, but honestly, I think it's a great time capsule of the era, especially the late 80s. And I think the dub helps a lot to make it feel more timeless. I think all around the direction's great. I think the fact that there are so many newcomers to this dub is really impressive. That it's as good as it is, and I think it's a good pickup if you're looking for some older stuff. If you want to see what anime was like in the 80s, I'd say it's a better pickup than Vampire Hunter D. Honestly, that dub is good. Yeah. That dub is good, but the movie itself is just okay. I'd say Venus Wars is a better movie. So,
yeah, let me put on my best on my voice. Hey kids, you like Gundam but don't like mechs? Well, have I got a movie for you. So yeah, basically this is like one of the most influential films of its time, I was told. Because, again, this was like a big deal for the director back in the day. And I know that like Gundam has just started taking off, and it definitely has that Gundam vibe without the mechs, but at the same time it kind of got overshadowed to the point that went into obscurity until years later, because I hadn't heard of this until Sentai got permission to redub it. So when I checked it out, it's funny because normally you have to like either coerce me to watching something. Like I usually watch stuff by word of mouth, or like if something catches my eye. And one of the things that caught my eye was, of course, the dub, because this was Mike Himoto's first time, and I wanted to give him the proper diligence he deserves, the proper respect he deserves. So I figured, if I ever get a chance, let me check out this film. This film is so damn good. It kind of reminds me of when Ahmad, Gigi, and the crew covered City Hunter Shinjuku Private Eyes last year. It kind of definitely has that 80s tone to it.
Right.
But at the same time, it doesn't stand out. It doesn't stand out too much with its characters. Like it lets the actors speak for the characters on its own.
Yeah.
I'll give it a distinct vibe, because I'm used to something with this kind of grade, because I did Sailor Moon on the movie. That movie's barely younger than this one, and I thought everybody did a very good job given what they would do for this film. So kudos to Mike.
Yeah.
For your first time on this, good job, man.
Exactly.
So we good to wrap up here?
I guess so. Do you want to let people know where you're from? Like, what do you do?
I think we should probably tell them where we can find the film if they thought this was the actual film they were going to watch, which, by the way, is almost 2 hours long. Let's be real, viewers. If you thought you came here to see the movie, you were sadly mistaken.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you want to watch the movie for yourself, it's available streaming on High Dive, which, as far as I know, as of right now, is probably the only way, because because they have a limited edition that's currently unavailable on Sentai's website. Let me see if it's on Right Stuff.
Looking up the synopsis.
Oh, okay. It says here there's a DVD, but I'm not sure if that has the new dub on it. It's out of stock, but the Blu-ray itself is no longer available.
Really?
Oof. Ooh.
Wow.
So
I'm glad I got my copy when I did. Holy shit.
So at the time of recording, currently the only way to view it is on High Dive, which if you are...
I don't think Verve has... I don't think Verve has it. So...
Oh boy. Which, if you want to check it out for yourself, there is a free 30-day trial to check out that or anything else in its catalog. You can pay if you want. Of course, if you don't want to continue the trial, cancel it since a credit card is required. There's a $5 monthly plan, a $48 yearly plan. Trust me, if you sign up, go for the $48 plan. It's much cheaper in the long run. Which, given how much we spend on our wallets, cheaper is better.
Right.
But as for if you want to check out our podcast for yourself, we're available on YouTube at Dubtalk Podcast. We're available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Podbean. We also are available on social media at Dubtalk Podcast on Twitter. We've recently wrapped up our efforts on Twitch, to which we're now an affiliate as of recording.
Yay.
Yes, I know Megan's been doing stuff lately with Xenoblade Chronicles and Fire Emblem Fates, that kind of thing. Steph and Andrew just did The Wolf Among Us recently. I know Ahmad does some visual novels on occasion. I'm hoping to do something with Borderlands 3 myself if I have the time or the setup to do it. As for what we get up to ourselves, I think that's... so where can people find you, Lack?
They can find me at Like the Watcher, at TikTok and Twitter. I'm currently working on some stuff for my TikTok. I do sketches and voice acting kind of stuff on there. If you just want to see the kind of stuff I like to post about, you can just follow me on Twitter. That's pretty much it for me right now. I got a fun sketch I'm coming up with right now that I don't really want to talk about too much because I don't know when it's coming out soon, but I got my Diamond is Unbreakable struggle tweets that I'm currently in the process of writing, so that should be out within probably the month, I would say. Which
nice.
Is fun, taking the characters from Diamondism or JoJo and having them write funny tweets. That's kind of the idea. And have voice acting over it, so...
Oh, that's awesome.
Yep.
As for me, I'm an assistant editor for the podcast. It can be found on YouTube at Jamstar1, Twitter at Jamstar529. Hello from the Discord. I have Blog Collected Dust. I plan to get into solo podcasting at some point. One day, if you'll find out. But speaking of podcasts, if you want to show your support to our podcast, we're available on Ko-Fi as well as Patreon. To which would you like to tell us about patrons, dear Lack?
Sure. So, do I start with the $5?
Yeah, start with the $5.
Okay. So, patrons, the $5 tier, we've got Megan's mom and dad, Michelle Travis, Miraculous Corazon, Nico Rahman, but with Yowie hands, Sue Tweet. Is that how you pronounce that?
Yeah, Tweet.
Okay. And Victor May Boroda.
Yeah.
And for the $10 tier, we've got Carly Lasico?
Kali
Laisticow, all right. Crimson Echidna, Jacob Wilson, Jared Hawkins, Julia W., Marissa Lenti, and Taku Anthony.
Thank you all for your support. You're very wonderful people.
Yep. So, how should we sign this off?
I don't know, man. I just want to get on my bike and go home.
Pretty much. Me too, man. Me too. So why don't we go ahead and do that? So we'll say goodnight to everybody and Taku on, my friend. Is that what we say?
Night, Taku on, and keep on riding.
See you later.
Love is war.